Good morning, everybody, and happy spring break to you Buckeye, collegiate folks that actually still get a spring break. We don't get a spring break here, but welcome into the best damn pod in the land. I'm your host, Chad Stryker. With me is Dan Divjack. Dan, what's up, man?
You know, the spring break thing, Chad, I got a stern lecture from my 15-year-old daughter that this is the last year we're skipping spring break. So,
okay.
I guess the pressure is on. No, but
yeah,
with everything that's going on right now, it just didn't make sense. And but she's on her way down to Florida with her mom, so I'm sure she's just a fine time. Gonna give her the lecture. You know, stay away from strangers, stranger danger.
Yep. Yep. Apply sunscreen because we always I always came back sunburnt whenever I went with my friends. So we went to the Carolinas one year though, and it rained like almost the entire time. So yeah. All right. So we've got a lot of listener questions to get to. So we always try to do this for Q&A Tuesday, but with spring ball starting, we had a lot of other content. So I've compiled those and we'll dive into those. Any like last takes from anything you heard over the weekend or anything that of note? I saw Threes tweeted out which usually is followed by a boom. So who do you think that is?
You know, the first person that came to mind was Alfred, but I don't think he's there yet. I mean, maybe Fahim.
Okay. All right. I immediately jumped to Justin Hill.
All right, I'll be good with that.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of talk with what's his name, Shanklin.
Yeah, a lot of him. But I was thinking in the linebacker room, I guess, because I started I kind of got on Twitter and was trying to find that Saka kid that's out of St. Joe's Prep in Philly, because I know we made his top 5 in February, and I even asked on Bucknuts today, and Bill Curley didn't seem to think that decision was coming anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Someone needs to talk with James-O and let him know there's a character limit on Twitter. He's getting awfully close to exceeding it every time he posts something.
Yeah,
he's so verbose. I like his little trademark, that he's come up with when it comes to these recruits. So that's exciting. There was something that came out the other day that showed us in with 5 or 6 guys.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, this is getting crazy.
Yeah.
I think there's a legit chance to flip the Moore kid out of Duncanville in Texas.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with you.
I mean, Sanchez apparently is coming after him hard.
Yeah. Let's do it, man.
It's weird because he's committed to LSU, but he's focusing on the Final Four, and then he goes and posts that he's 1,000% committed. So, these kids are having fun. Good for them. But yeah, the recruiting is it's off the chain right now. So I'm super excited about that.
Except for the offensive line, because apparently Micah DeBose is headed to LSU. Bill Curley today said he doesn't think we have any real shot at David Sanders. And so other than Carter Lowe, and the other thing he said, which I was shocked about, is Ohio State's not trying to take 6 offensive linemen in this class. He thinks more like 3 or 4 because he doesn't know where there's not enough guys leaving for that many scholarships.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think our offensive line is nearly as shallow as some people think it is. I told you.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say the Armstrong twins. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think we've got some depth there. It's just a matter of getting through. I don't know what I was listening to something the other day, and they did a pretty thorough breakdown of when our offensive linemen typically start. And it's not usually until year 3 or 4.
Okay.
So there was an awful lot of year 4 guys in there. So that's a position that just needs to develop, right? I mean, when you're a top flight offensive lineman in high school, you're not getting challenged, right? And it's a whole new world when you come to a place like Ohio State and you start to play against that defensive line. So they need to get, in the mixed program. They need to hit the nutrition table. They need to get, their body right. I don't have a lot of concerns over it. I'd be shocked if we have a 1-person class. Now I think that's just silly.
No, we won't.
The DeBose info is a little disheartening. I don't know. I didn't see that. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got some CBs rolling to LSU. So several.
Interesting. We're still in on Mason Short. We're still in on the first name kid's name is Avery.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
Okay. All right. I'm not really either. I just thought it was interesting and of note that we're trending in just about even the linebacker room. We're trending up, and it seems like an offensive lineman, as well as I do, there's probably 7 or 8 in the country that are elite plug and play coming out of high school. If you're lucky that year, 7 or 8. And this year it feels like there's 4. And, that doesn't happen every year. It just doesn't. But you would like to see Ohio State make that happen. The Paris Johnsons, the Orlando Paces, you want to get at least one of those every third recruiting cycle. And we just haven't. I think that's where the frustration lies.
Yeah. And if we get our new punter to put on maybe, 50, 60 pounds, he can slide in at right tackle.
Yeah, man. All right, let's do that. All right. So we'll get back into what we were actually going to talk about. So Buckeye G on Twitter. Thanks, man. I know he's a faithful follower, man, and he's dropping questions a lot. And so appreciate you a lot. And so he would like to know thoughts on how Chip Kelly and how his relationship with Ryan Day will or will not propel the offense to another level this season.
Am I up?
You're up, man. I'll let you.
I mean, listen,
I know how you feel.
Yeah, we've gone over this quite a bit, and I think we're going to continue to go over it, especially once we start to see some install and some scrimmages and games and stuff like that. But it could not possibly be a better fit.
Right.
I mean, Ryan's big thing, and this isn't a Ryan Day thing, right? You got guys up at the top, and there's ego there to get there, and especially when they're an elite play caller themselves, and they think they don't need to give it up, and they don't want to give it up. This could not have been a better situation. I mean, the trust level there is the number one thing that he needed to get over, and that trust is there. It's immediate. Yep. So it couldn't be any better. I'm stoked to see what happens with it. It will be interesting to see what happens with the wide receiver recruitment about midway through the year. If we're a run-heavy team, we'll see. But Ryan likes to throw the ball, and, they've all said the right thing, that this is not the Chip Kelly offense. It's the Ohio State offense. So I just don't see us not throwing the ball as, but I do see us being a little bit more balanced, like closer to 50-50. But, there's going to be enough explosive plays there. But that's something I've got my eye on, just kind of like, off the radar, behind the scenes type of a thing.
Yeah. So I just went back and reiterated in my notes what Chip Kelly said. So he's here to run the Ohio State offense. It's not Day's offense. It's not his offense. It's the Ohio State offense. He said and talked about how when his QB coach left at UCLA, that he got to coach the quarterbacks in the bowl game, and he realized how much he actually missed coaching football.
Yep.
And his wife commented about how much happier he was. And so, I think it's easy to get lost on the fact of what a dynamic play caller Chip Kelly is, because he went to the NFL for a while, and then he was kind of buried at UCLA, and he was in a CEO role, and he was trying to, do all the things. Now he just gets to sit and work in the minutia. And I literally wrote down, like, he gets to look at what to call on 3rd and 6 at your own 32-yard line, as you're headed in towards the end with 2 minutes left in the first half. Like, he can sit and do that. And Ryan Day doesn't have to now. And he was trying to, and he can't. So I think the two, literally Chip Kelly's got baby pictures of Ryan Day. So I think that they're going to work hand in hand well together. And Chip, like I said, he's a dynamic play caller. I think this is the dream scenario if you want to just go call plays and coach football for Chip. And he talked about that. So I'm all in, man. I'm all in. It took me a while to get all in on Bob and then all out on Bob, but I'm all in on Chip Kelly. Let's roll, man. Let's do it.
I'm so excited. And where I'm really excited to see is what happens in the red zone and inside, like, maybe the 10 to 8 yard line.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people don't remember when he was at Oregon, man, he did some creative stuff, like Madden type stuff, right?
Yep.
And formations and eligibility and things like that. So I think it's going to be a much more fun offense. Mm-hmm. One way to cure the woes of the red zone that we've had over the last few years is to get creative like that.
Yeah.
But a little nugget, and this just came out of the blue, he does a lot of things inside the red zone on 2-point conversions and stuff that remind me of this fad that took place about 12 years ago called the A11 offense.
Oh,
you ever, you know what it is?
Yep.
Yeah. So if for those of you that don't know what that is, and you're a football junkie and a scheme junkie, Google A11 offense and have some fun with it. Yep. But he was doing a lot of that type of stuff, when he was at Oregon. And, it didn't have enough legs to really catch on at a high level, but there's definitely, some elements of it that you see out there. But it's just going to be a lot of fun, man. I mean, It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these games finally.
Yeah, and that leads into his second question was around how bringing in Chip Kelly, it will or will not impact the offensive line and the coaching and them taking the next step in development. So, do you want me to go first?
Yeah,
I have one sentence. I literally have one sentence. Yes, it will impact it, and yes, it will be good and better because Justin Fry's best offensive lines were at UCLA under Chip Kelly. Mm-hmm. And then having the impact of the way that Chip Kelly likes to run the football, which is a lot of pulling guards. We've talked about this, a lot of pulling guards, traps, and then find and replace, which is basically the guard leads into the hole, or the tight end leads into the hole, or the center leads into the hole and kicks out. And so you have Don. I'll talk about this later, but yeah, it's going to help a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, heck, he'll pull a slot receiver.
Yeah, he will. You're absolutely right. He will.
Go fill in the A and B gap and pick up that second level guy that's there.
Hit that linebacker. Or the safety creative. Coming down.
Yeah, I've got zero concerns with the line. I mean, we kind of kicked off with that. I think Justin Fry is 2 years into it. As we talked about, it's a position that requires development. And as bad as our last memory was last year, in that Missouri game, our offensive line,
he comes to mind.
Yeah, our offensive line improved drastically from the beginning of the year to the end of the year.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody who's, familiar with some parents on the team, and back in spring last year, they were really worried about the right side of the line. And, I think Fryer had a good year. I've seen some guys break down film on him, and the problem with Fryer is that when he got beat, it usually resulted in a sack.
He had a statue in the backfield, though.
Yeah. So, but I mean, he improved, Yeah. I still will be shocked if he's at right tackle, though.
I won't be because of Luke. I won't be. If he's at right tackle, I will not be shocked because that means Montgomery took over the guard spot at right guard.
Yeah. Yeah. And he is quicker. He's put on some good lean mass. He looks 6'4". Good. Yeah, he looks real good. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. And the relationship's only going to pay dividends for us. I mean, that's huge, right? It's familiarity. Yeah. It's like going back to an ex-girlfriend. You get into a comfort zone pretty quickly. Hopefully there's no ex-girlfriend drama.
But, yeah, I'm not sure about that reference.
Exes are exes for a reason, but that little bounce back period there. Yeah. There's familiarity.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm good with my current situation for the remaining years of my commitment on this earth.
Yeah. So it lended into this question, and I think he posed it a little bit differently. Buckeye G on Twitter did, but expectations and thoughts on O-line development. So he circled around the offensive line, and we've talked about this before. So if you don't want to do a deep dive, it's okay. But what are your expectations? And the word I wrote down was hopeful. My word is hopeful for the offensive line. So where are you at?
Well, it goes back to what we talked about up front. That's a position, that requires some time.
Yeah.
I think that Fry is finally getting his guys in there now. He's got, I want to say 2 classes, or does he have 3?
This will be his 3rd year.
This is his 3rd class of guys on the Armstrong twins and Ian Moore.
Good.
A little extra work on the editing side of there. I'm sorry, brother.
No worries. No worries.
But yeah, going back to the O-line, I mean, it takes time to develop those guys, and I'm very, very optimistic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I jotted down a couple things. The first is I think Simmons being in the program a full year now, and and I know he came from a bigger, like a P1, Power 5 program, kind of, but the amount of training, food regiment that you get at Ohio State, I have to, even like last year with Vic Cutler coming from Louisiana Monroe, like there's just no comparison when you go to Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Texas, the conditioning, and like some of those guys are eating 8,000 calories a day and have access to that kind of food. So the way that they develop is completely different. A second year with Simmons beside Donnie, even better. McLaughlin, it can't hurt as long as he doesn't get the yips. Historically his PFF grades for run blocking and pass blocking are phenomenal. One sack over God knows how many starts. And then having Montgomery in there, I think it'd be great. And then, Fryer with a full year of starting under his belt in the program, knowing he like has a chance to, start 2 years at right tackle. And, look what DeJuan Jones did in his second year. And I know everybody was hypercritical of him in his first year. So, all in on the O-line. I think it'll be fine. And the other piece I mentioned is this year, no matter if it's your guy, Devin Brown, or if it's Will Howard or Lincoln Keenholz or Aaron Noland, whoever, they're not a statue. They're not just going to stand back there and let some guy roll up on their legs and go down. So big difference in being able to maneuver and work the pocket, a la even CJ Stroud, he could work the pocket. So
yeah,
big difference this year. Big difference.
Well, I know, you mentioned my guy. I think people forget because of the way it ended, but there were a couple plays in that, in the first quarter of the Missouri game when Devin, he didn't see what he liked and he reversed out and rolled left.
Yep.
I mean, that level of mobility didn't exist at any point in time in, earlier in that season. So
no.
And I think everybody in that room now can do that.
Yep.
So, well, and Chip likes to use the quarterback.
Yeah. I'm not, I'm here for whatever. We know, because of some information we have, that Devin Brown has the strongest arm in the room. We know that for a fact. Like that's not up for debate. We already know that. And that's thanks to some inside information, but I can't debate that. It's just a fact. So,
yeah.
So switching up, I wanted to ask you, we'll get to the quarterbacks in a minute, but, his last question was, is there pressure on Coach Day to win a national championship, reclaim the Big Ten dominance, and beat the team up north? Unequivocally, yes.
Unequivocally, yes. I'm getting ready to pull up a bookmark on Twitter because I want to share this. Yes. Unequivocally. Of course. It's Ohio State. I mean, it doesn't, it goes without saying that there's pressure on that.
Yeah.
Is he on the hot seat? I don't think so.
So let me say this, man. With all the money that even myself included, the boosters we have donated, if he doesn't win the Big Ten, and that includes beating Michigan and make a run in the playoffs, there will be problems.
Yeah, and I
actually from the boosters.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be problems, and so let me qualify my statement. I responded to somebody on Twitter the other day where I said, yes, if he was to lose to Michigan in an embarrassing fashion, not play in the Big Ten championship, and lose like a first round game at home, then yeah, man, it's gonna get bad. But you go back to what's the alternative? Like, I mean, I'm gonna read something here. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna give you two coaches, right? In their first 5 seasons. Coach A was 56-8 with 2 conference championships, 0 national titles, 1 natty appearance, and 1-3 versus their biggest rival. Okay.
Okay.
Coach B in his first 5 seasons was 52-14, 1 conference championship, 0 national titles, 1 national title appearance, and 0-3 against their biggest and most relevant rival. Okay. Coach A is Ryan Day.
Yep.
Who do you think Coach B is?
I was going to go with Nick Saban.
Kirby Smart.
It was one or the other.
Yeah. So, I mean, can you imagine if Georgia jumped ship after year 5 with Kirby?
Yeah. I'm not a proponent of getting rid of Ryan Day. So I'm not a Ryan Day apologist, but I'm not a proponent of moving on from him either.
Yeah. But yes, if that was to happen, it would not be a fun offseason.
No, it would not. All right. So our favorite topic, and everyone's favorite topic, expectations for the quarterback room. Who is your favorite to win, and who is your dark horse? Buckeye G wants to know. And I already know your answer.
Why don't you go ahead?
I will say let me word it. This isn't coach speak. I don't care. I want to win. So put the best kid in there that's going to help us win. Now, I will say, and I'll be honest, I expect it to be Will Howard, but I know that Devin Brown can ball. So give me the best one, and let's go.
Yep, I agree 100%. So I'm probably going to surprise you with this. So who is the favorite to win, and who is my dark horse?
Yeah.
Ugh, this hurts me. I think the favorite to win based on logic is Will Howard. Okay. And I'm going to go and say the dark horse is Devin because no one's given him a shot up until recently, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say right now that Devin Brown will be taking the first snaps of the year against, who's it, Akron?
Akron, yeah.
I think he will win the job.
Akron.
And I'm sticking to that. And yes, there's some bias there. And yes, I really, really like the kid. I mean, to be honest with you, if the roles were reversed and Will Howard was Devin Brown and had been at Ohio State for the last few years and experienced what Devin Brown experienced, I'd be pulling for Will Howard just the same, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of talent, stupid little injuries that did not happen in high school. Yeah. He's got – I told somebody the other day, Devin Brown is going to have a Joe Burrow-esque season at some point in his career. I just hope it's with us. Yeah. And the parallels there with, the injuries and all that other kind of stuff are just the same. I think they're cut from the same mold, and that's probably why I like them so much.
Yeah. I get it. I will burn the boats if it's Devin. Whatever happens here. And then he asked me for a dark horse. I don't really have one. I was like, if there's really a dark horse, I guess it's the South Dakota Slinger because I guess he's looked pretty good in practice and, kind of looks like a veteran. He's put on weight. He throws the ball well. He's very mobile. He's better than Tate Martell for you Tate Martell people that, for whatever reason, he draws comparisons to him. I guess it's just whatever small school or, I don't know what it is, why they give them that comparison, but he's got a much bigger arm than Tate Martell does. Yeah. We are where we are with it. I expect it to be Will Howard, but I won't. Whoever it is, let's ride or die, man. That's my thing.
Yep, I'm there with you. And if I had to pick a dark horse outside the obvious top two, I would go with Julian Sayin. I just don't.
He throws dots, man. He can put it wherever he wants.
He's so good. He needs to get in the gym. He needs to get to the nutrition table. But he is so advanced for a kid coming out of high school.
He reminds me of Stroud.
Yeah. There's rumors on other podcasts that Ayers had a really difficult time adjusting to the college life. I just don't think he's there yet. I don't like his delivery. I know I'm in the minority there from what I hear other people talk about. I don't like it. I think there's a hitch in it. I think it's long. Some people that'll say they've seen him throw say the exact opposite. So, I'm just a fan with a podcast, right? What do I know? But I just don't think, man, Lincoln was an absolute disaster in that Missouri game. And it was things that, like, I tried to separate things that weren't in his control and things that were. Mm-hmm. Man, he's just backpedaling from, like, he just doesn't look comfortable back there. And I defended him big time. Like, dude, that was a no-win situation. But there's still little nuggets that you can pick up there when you're watching him. And, from somebody that's played that position before, there's just things there that you're like, man, he's going to have to work through that. Like, regardless of how many reps he got in practice this year, he should be a lot farther along than that.
Yeah. And this next question comes in via Messenger on Facebook. So we do have a Facebook, the Best Damn Pod in the Land Facebook page as well, from Steve Graham. So Steve wanted to know who we think is the best position group on the team right now. What a question.
You want to
go? Yeah, man. I literally said, geez, man, what a question when he wrote it to me. I don't want to insult anybody, but I'm going with the DBs.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that DB room. I can run and gun, man. I'm good. Let me do it.
Yeah.
If you can't throw the ball, here's to you.
Yeah. I think the obvious answer is either them or the receivers.
Right.
I think the DB room is a little bit more mature right now.
That was why
as far as on-field experience. So I think that's a reasonable thing, but man, I was just independently wealthy and I could just sit there and watch those guys practice every day, all day. Again,
I want to be Bobby Carpenter and just go hang out at the Woody all day and then do a podcast off and on, and so I can see what's going on.
I want to see Jeremiah Smith go against Denzel, light him up, and just walk back and hand him the ball and say, "How about now?" Yeah. I want to see that kind of chirping going on with those guys and that level of competitiveness. Denzel, spoke glowingly of him the other day, which was really surprising and told me all I needed to know.
Yeah. Denzel doesn't pull any punches, man. That's for sure. He'll tell you what's on his mind. All right, cool. Well, I mean, that's why I picked the DBs. You got Lathan Ransom coming back. You've got Denzel Burke coming back. You got Iggy coming back. You bring in Caleb Downs. You got Hancock, and then you have depth with Jermaine Matthews. And don't forget, Kelvin Simpson-Hunt was like a top 2 corner in the country, man. Like he was rated higher. He just came in late.
Yep.
So he came in the summer, unlike Jermaine Matthews. So he was rated higher than Jermaine Matthews. Yeah. So that room is deep, man. And I was like, all right. I'm gonna run with the DBs on this one. Yeah. So
now the other group that's feeling insulted right now, and it's probably a little bit of a result of how they're viewed in the NFL. But man, our running back room.
Yeah, I probably.
I mean, our top 4. I don't know if anybody. I mean, it's the best. Like Josh Payton said the other day, man, it's the best running back room in the country.
Oh, without a doubt, man.
Notre Dame can go ahead and say whatever they want.
Notre Dame. Travis Etienne's going to run for 500 yards. Okay, how'd that work out, guys?
Yeah.
But I mean, out to you, Dallas fan in DC. I can chirp a little bit. It's my podcast.
Yes, you can. I mean, I think those are the 2 obvious ones, and I think the forgotten group that would like to have a say and a seat at the table is the running back room.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I'll give it to him. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks, Dan, for hopping on. I know you're not feeling great, so you guys have a good rest of your week. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it. The views keep trickling up, man, so I'm happy with that. Any last words from you, sir?
No, man. I just wanted to show my appreciation for you, and I think we're 5 weeks into this thing now and just having a boatload of fun. And, the Twitter world is a lot of fun. I'm trying to, I haven't brought my election on Facebook mentality, to Twitter. So I'm trying to be nice and staying out of the rabbit holes and stuff and just, build our
I don't do that, man. I don't do any politics on Twitter, man.
Yeah. I got sucked into it last time, and I've cleaned my feed and I don't even comment anymore, but no,
I don't do
I'm just having a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man, me too. And everybody thinks podcasting is fun until they realize you have to produce and edit and write shows, and but it is fun. It really is fun. We have a good time with it. So you guys, I appreciate you all. You have a good week. Next week, just for I think it's important we let them know this, Dan. I am going to be in London. So the shows will probably be recorded later in the day, and I'll be able to still record and produce. It just will be look a little bit different and probably put out a little bit later because they're 5 hours ahead over there. So just so you guys know, thought it would be important to mention that. So
good deal. Yep.
All right, you guys have a great week. Stay safe out there, and as always,
go Bucks.
Go Bucks.